Hi, welcome. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. Today we are interviewing a first robotics coach and an elementary curriculum consultant named Miss Amy Quinn. How are you doing today?
I am great, Max. Thank you. And thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. What is your current role in the district as you were my first grade teacher?
Okay, I was hoping you were going to bring that up so everybody knows. Yes, I was your first grade teacher. So I've been in West Bloomfield for over 20 years. I started out at Gretchko in the classroom, and then I was a science coach and instructional coach with a focus in science. And then my role changed a bit, and I became the K-12 math and science coordinator. But now I am an elementary curriculum consultant. So I really support teachers in the elementary level. I'm part of learning services, so I help with any district initiatives. One of my favorite initiative is anything to do with robotics or innovation.
And a question from Miss Ladd, one of the WBMS STEAM teachers. Can you tell us about the Oakland County Game Challenge?
So this has been something kind of new. Our district participated a few years ago. And so it's a challenge all about innovation, which kind of I mentioned before, creating a game. So when we think of some of the games we love, like Max, what's some of your favorite like board games that you play?
Ooh, I have to say Rummy Cube.
All right, perfect. So when you think of Rummy Cube, some of the listeners out there might be thinking of like Candyland or Monopoly or Uno. And you think about, okay, what do people love about that game? How can I create a game that has some of those aspects but maybe changes it a little? That's what this game challenge is about. You create a game and you present it to some of the reviewers there are from like Mattel. The creator of Phase 10 is on the board with me, and I kind of am helping with some of the planning. And anybody can register. West Bloomfield has actually won some of the top awards a few years ago. It was our first year, and then we took a little break after COVID, and now it's coming up in March. So thank you for asking about that. I think you were actually in a class, Max, and you did a little bit of that game making and
I
action.
was. CSIM. It was fun.
Well, everybody, when we look at students, they are going to be inventing the next best thing. So being a part of things like this gives you an opportunity to share your ideas, and it's super fun. Thank you for
Now,
asking.
you're welcome. And now I'm doing app creators as it's a one semester class. So I'm finishing up STEAM in the middle school level this semester.
Fantastic.
I've done all the. How did you hear about FIRST Robotics and decide to get involved?
Oh, that's a good question. So,
Thank you.
years ago, let's see. So, we've been doing first robotics starting with the younger students. So, a little bit about my background, as I mentioned, is elementary. And so, we've had robotics and an excellent robotics program in middle school and high school for a while. But elementary, it's really been more like maybe the past 10 years. Max was a part of like the very first team, actually. And so, I was at a place called the Robot Garage. And at the time, my youngest wanted to learn how to code a robot. And I didn't know how, but I was curious. And so we went to the Robot Garage and I loved it. And I said, okay, I want to do this with my own child, but also I want to bring it to West Bloomfield. And so we had one of our first events. It was actually at Gretchko. There were only two teams. And then we just expanded. So it was really just seeing it and thinking like, okay, this is what we want students to be doing, collaborating, the critical thinking, the applying what they learn to a real world challenge. And First Robotics always has a different theme. This year it's super powered and all about energy, but there's been some really cool themes in the past. And so as soon as I saw it, I said, I'm going to do what I can to bring this to our youngest learners, because if we get them started young with coding and robotics and team and having a showcase, then it's going to carry over. And we've seen that.
How long have you been involved with our robotics program?
So I would say I would say about 10 years. First has something called discovery or explore and then challenge. So it's for the different levels. And I consider myself a mentor to the program now. Andrea Frank and Cindy Carson, they're really kind of taking the lead. And then as a team, we kind of support the robotics. I've had many different roles within robotics. I've been a coach. I've taken a team to states. I've been a judge. I have been the host for our big robotics events. And then now being a district mentor, it's kind of more, I just kind of jump in as needed and really kind of help oversee and encourage and inspire.
What level or levels of the program do you support?
So that's interesting because it's kind of expanding. What's been neat is we have this vision that if we started young, that the like program would then numbers would increase, and that definitely has happened. I would say that my most time I spend is in elementary, especially the first, second, and third, and then Mrs. Carson really leads the kindergarten students. When it comes to the upper L, Mrs. Carson even does a team, but I'll jump into meetings or help practice before their showcase or what is needed. But I have loved this year because I've been doing more with middle school, just finding out about your robots. And right, the middle school robots, it keeps getting bigger and better what you're doing. I came to my first FTC event this year and it was so much fun. I can see myself getting involved even more.
What teams have you coached or mentored or been a part of?
Well, there has been many. And I would say when we look at a mentor role, you've got to be just flexible and jump in. There's almost too many to list. But I want to tell everybody out there a little bit about, for the younger ones, how we do it is we have wonderful parent coaches. And so every team has a parent coach and a teacher leader. And then Mrs. Frank, Mrs. Carson, and I kind of help support the teacher leaders. There are times that I might sub for a coach. There are times I might do a training. There's a time that I just kind of jump in as needed. So lots of different roles.
Do you ever have anxiety while or before you are making a decision for your teams or the program?
Oh, it's a great question.
Thank
Well,
you.
if anybody out there has programmed a robot, we all know there's a lot of anxiety when you're on those competitions thinking, is it going to do what I want it to do? Um, I want to share a quick story about that. One of my teams was working on the sensor, the color sensor, and the lighting was different in the event where the showcase was at the table, and the robot didn't do a thing. And I think when we look at anxiety and we look at, problem solving, that's part of life. And so it's so neat to talk to teams and kind of help them through what went wrong. How can we fix it for the next time? Let's reflect. Let's move forward. Come on, we're resilient. We can do this. So that was the anxiety piece. But the cool thing is, it's all about the students. So they're the ones running the robots. They're the ones with the projects. They're the ones, coaches, and my role is more of a facilitator. So it's super fun. There's not a huge amount of any anxiety when it comes to that because you're really just supporting the students and they've got great ideas. And I think we've gotten better as time goes on with planning projects and coming up with timelines and thinking about what we need to get accomplished. And my role is really more just about supporting.
What is your favorite thing about robotics?
Well, we all know it's more than robots. It's more than just the programming. It's my favorite thing would be seeing the team work together towards a common goal. And I think when I look at FIRST Robotics, how they relate to the team challenge to a real world event, whether it's animals, we've had so many different cool themes, transportation, this year it's energy. That's one of my favorite things also. So it's the team aspect and seeing teams work together, but it's that real world connection. And it really gets people kind of thinking about different careers, thinking about their part on a team, thinking about how things work and why. And, I think of the energy this year, the theme is energy. I even think of our high school having those solar panels. And yeah, you can just kind of relate everything in robotics to life.
It all kind of helps you with learning creative thinking to then being able to apply it at a different level.
Absolutely.
What is your least favorite thing about robotics?
Least favorite thing. Oh, I know what it is. It is sorting all those pieces. So, especially when we think of the younger ones, they build a model and they have an Inspire set that moves. They use the Lego We Do program, but if you don't have all the pieces, the gears, so it's it would probably be that. I think the other thing is sometimes it gets a little hectic right before competition season. And so it's like you've got to clear your schedules, just like before a big sporting event or before a play, where like right before that competition, it's like, craziness. And so it's long hours, but all worth it.
What is your schedule like for robotics being a mentor?
All right, another good question.
Thank you.
So let's see. So what's interesting about the season of robotics is it actually starts in August. So August is when the challenge comes out and it gets, super exciting and you kind of have to then where that's when all the planning starts. So I'm involved a little bit less with the planning, and Mrs. Carson and Mrs. Frank are a little doing more with the planning and behind the scenes. But that starts right away because you have to get the teams ready, the registration, the training of the coaches. So August and September is kind of like a busy time. Then challenge the older elementary grades starts right away, and they're usually done with the competition by December. But then for our youngest learners, robotics, they're just starting up. We're on week 2. And so, for example, I was just at Gretchko on Thursday, kind of checking last Thursday, checking in on teams and seeing how they were doing. And they were doing fantastic and it was super fun. So it might mean that I'm going to, buildings on like Thursdays, I might be doing a training. And then once it comes to be about now, mid-February, we have our competition in March. So we're going to start planning that. And it's a super fun event.
Is LakerBot returning this year?
Yes, it is. And LakerBot this year will be at the West Bloomfield Middle School Saturday, April 15th. Everybody's welcome. So if you are like, wanting to check out robotics, maybe for the first time, come and see what it's all about. We have a lot of exciting things going on. We usually have a maker space that's super fun. Then we'll have a judging area. We've got tables set up. We love it when middle school and high school robotics team come out and you guys mentor and support us. So it's a really, really fun event. We have an award ceremony at the end. And we're also looking for reviewers. So if you're out there listening and you wanted to maybe get some volunteer hours or you wanted to be a reviewer, reach out to me and we'd love to have you.
Who is still at Gretchko that I had?
Well, you're going to have to come out to Gretchko and see. I know you're in middle school now and you get out early. So we would love to have you come. And our meetings are on Thursday, but we'd love to have you out there. Teachers, have a few teachers have changed. There's still some. Mrs. Jadis is there, so you can see her.
What is your least favorite thing about robotics?
I think the least favorite and the difficult kind of go hand in hand. So the least favorite might be the hustle and the bustle and the stress before competition, but also like sorting things. Um, but there's a lot that I love, so it's kind of hard for me to say. Least favorite.
What is the hardest thing about robotics?
So there's a little bit of like a learning curve. So that's something I'm currently kind of working through with the team is, all right, how do we get students? So what's hard is we were using the Lego We Do 2.0. It's so fun and it makes the pieces move and it's like a drag and drop block where you can tell what to do. Kind of like Scratch Junior. Well, now what's hard about robotics is like within 3 years, then it becomes obsolete, that robot. So the new robot is Spike. And so that can be an obstacle at times because you have to like change your understanding of programming at times and the pieces and the money. The money factor can be a little bit of a hard problem because you have to get the new robot. And so it's kind of like that with the older students. They were using EV3 that I know Max. You can program that EV3 probably with your eyes closed. But there's Spike Prime, I think it's called, and Spike Essentials. So the older students are the same kind of thing. Like for RoboFest, what are you guys going to use? Are you using the EV3 or the Spike?
Um, I think we're doing EV3.
And this might be one of the last years you can. So that's kind of fun. You're still doing that. But, that's what's hard about robotics sometimes is things become obsolete. Technology changes so fast.
All right. And then what is the easiest thing about robotics?
All right. The easiest thing about robotics, for me is just being with the students, and I'm the facilitator and I can run with their ideas. Meetings typically run very smooth because they're doing things they love. There's a lot of support. So I think that's the easiest. Are the meetings? They're super fun, productive, good time.
I also went to Roosevelt for elementary. Who is still there?
Just in the I Center, we just finished up a meeting here, a PLC facilitator meeting. Haley Barnes was here and Carrie Roth. Um, we had different PLC facilitators here. We had Sage Wood, Elise Arnaldi, um, Christy Law, probably a lot of familiar faces. Mr. West was here. So you need to just come visit all these buildings, I think.
Yes. Tell everyone I said hello. What are highlights from when you started being a coach or mentor to now?
Highlight is the way the program has grown, for sure. I want as many students to be in robotics as can be. There, even like I think of my own children. There's so many skills you learn that you can apply in your life. And one really cool thing that we did for summer school 2 years ago was we had robotics, first robotics. They were making playgrounds and play areas, and everybody did it in summer school. And that was definitely a highlight because I'm realizing ways that we can incorporate robotics during the school day, and everybody has an opportunity. So I think it's just how the program has grown and how we've maybe looked at creative ways to get aspects of the program in. I have another highlight, Max. Last year, first in Michigan, Cindy Nader, she reached out to us and she asked if we would pilot something for First Robotics. And we had people fly in and they were at our showcase last year and they were using Milo, who's like a super fun robot, and they were programming Milo to move different blocks. They were trying to see if the younger students could do some of the things similar to older students do, but using their Legos. And so they wanted our feedback and they observed what we were doing. And that was so cool to be a part of that on it. And then we'll know next year because like how they do it is they're planning like 2 seasons before. So we'll see if they'll incorporate an aspect of that. I
Do
think it was
you
a success. I liked the students doing it.
do you have any advice to anyone who wants to be a coach, mentor, or get involved in robotics?
Go for it, just do it. Um, it is so important to give back, and we have so many wonderful coaches that give so much of their time, and it's so appreciated. And it's neat. I see coaches working together based on their strength. So sometimes I'll look at a team, and one of the parents might think, "Oh, I don't know how to program that robot." But you know what? Maybe they've got some great presentation skills, or maybe they can just facilitate a group working on their poster. Um, Even just helping with like the logistics of things or stack and cleanup or anything like that. So my advice is if you are even thinking about it, it will be so rewarding, and you need to just reach out and give it a try. Even if it's not every meeting, if it's one meeting, we train all of our coaches. We make sure they feel really good about it. Plus there is a great manual that explains almost like a teacher lesson plan for coaches to guide them. we're so lucky to have community ed to support us. So they handle all of our registration. But it's really neat because then we have like so many Legos, tables, we've got our cool swag. So being a volunteer is easy because there's a lot of support and a big team that works together.
I wish I had my swag right now, but I
I
just,
know.
who should people contact if they want to join robotics, coach, or be a mentor?
If they reach out to me, I can get them to the right person, which will probably be Cindy or Andrea. But reach out to me first.
And now this is kind of a tricky question. Do you like teaching better or do you like your current role better in the district?
Oh, Max, that is, I should have gotten these questions ahead of time to think it through.
Oh, I
Okay.
just thought of this one.
I I loved being a teacher. I loved it. I loved every day of my teaching career. Um, I taught for 15 years. I was in a job share with Mrs. Jadis, and it was the best. I found at that time, though, I was kind of ready for a change and the next step. So I now in my role facilitate and work with adults. But not many people know this, Max, but I'll tell you and whoever's watching, I just started teaching at Oakland University. And so on Monday nights, I'm teaching a Science Methods 2 class to teachers that are going to be going to their student teaching. They're seniors at Oakland University. And then next year, they're going to be student teaching. Two of them actually are in our district. But when I think about, I used to teach in the classroom, I loved it. My current role now, I work with adults and I facilitate learning. I work with curriculum. I do a lot of cool projects. And now I look at after I'm my job in West Bloomfield, just one day a week at night, I have that class. It's kind of merging the two, and it's been super rewarding, and I've loved it. So I think as I've grown as a professional, so has some of my roles and responsibilities. And so I can't really say what I think at the time in my career teaching, I loved it and it was perfect. At the time of my career right now, I love what I'm doing. Um, One thing that I have to say I love about my job now is I get to go to every elementary building. And there are times when I went, to every building K-12. I love being a part of district initiatives. I love the learning services team. Any work that I do supporting any instructional coaches, literacy interventionists, PLC facilitators. I'm doing something different every day. And so it's fun and it's exciting. So yeah.
And then I remember when you and Miss Weller came to show us the drones that Oakland County did.
Yes.
Miss
I'll never
Well Miss Weller's now a permanent computers teacher at the district for this semester.
I'll never forget Mrs. Weller and I were sitting down and we were like, okay, we want to extend the STEMI that comes to the middle school. We want to do some extensions. And we talked about thinking about robots, like there's a Land Rover on Mars. It collects information. Like scientists use technology to explore the world around them in different ways. So it could be a robot, it could be a submarine, but it could also be a drone. And like maybe they need to go explore a volcano. You can't go, but you'd send a drone. That's been my new I'm always trying some new stuff. And I am learning how to fly a drone. I have a drone. So anyways, Mrs. Weller and I were sitting down at the table and we were planning out, well, what should we do? And we said, we are going to fly a drone with every single sixth grader at the middle school. And it was kind of lofty because it's not easy to fly a drone, but we did it and we loved it and we had so much fun. And so we knew that experience was powerful. Not everybody has drones at home. So yeah, then we actually then came to your robotics meeting because we knew that there were a bunch of amazing students there that would have an interest in things like that. So that's why we brought the drones there. And did you enjoy it? What did you think?
Yes, I did enjoy it. I was a little nervous at first because I remember buying a drone from Target one time. I was flying it. It lost control from the controller and it went over my friend's house and almost landed in the pool.
Yeah, they're sporadic. I mean, and I'm not saying there weren't trouble with our drones. So we flew them with every single sixth grader that year. And then we also came to middle school robotics and we lost propellers and we learned lots. But like, oh my gosh, the students were amazing. They were like, did you make it flip? Were you one of the teams that made it like flip and like do some tricks and stuff? It was like amazing how quickly people were picking up that.
But then I got less nervous the second time when you guys brought the drones, and I would like to thank you for letting us view the semi truck and do all that. It was a lot of fun.
I'm so glad. And I think our whole team is always looking for opportunities. That's what it's all about, opportunities. And then maybe you're going to see yourself like, I like that. I want to explore that more. I want to try it again. I want to go into that for, my next steps, whatever it is. So I thank you for being open. It's that open growth mindset that's so important. And I think we all can learn from that sometimes we just have to give it a try.
Yes. What is your career history? I know we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, I was 8 years old and I said, I want to be a teacher one day. And I became that teacher. Not everybody knows what they want to do. I realized that. But my career path was, just to summarize really quick, it was teacher, instructional coach, coordinator, consultant. And it's always been in education. Yes.
What is your education?
Oh, well, so I mentioned how I'm teaching at Oakland University. Something really cool is I did my undergrad at Oakland University, my graduate school, and also my ed specialist. So, an ed specialist is kind of like past a master's, but before a PhD, right before. And I did just finish my ed specialist. Gosh, maybe it's been 2 years. And that was at Oakland University. And now I'm teaching there. So it's pretty fun.
When did you first get your teaching job?
Well,
Like your very first year?
my very first year. So I should know this, Max. I think I think it was 1999. Gosh, that seems old, doesn't it? And my first teaching job was in Rochester. And so I went to school in Rochester. I did my student teaching in Rochester and I got my first job there at the school I went to. And I thought it was like a dream come true. I thought I was meant to be at that school that I went to school at. And then things happened and they had to lay off some teachers and I was devastated. But somebody told me, there's this school in West Bloomfield. You've got to check it out and keep that open mind. And for me, it was scary. That was like a big deal to like leave my comfort. But sure enough, I've been in West Bloomfield since. I've never looked back. And I'm so glad I took that risk and that jump. Um, and I've been in the district ever since then. So we're really going on like 23 years in the district.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not too much moving around.
No, 1 year in Rochester and the rest here. Yes. I love our district. Yes.
Just many different roles, not just
Yeah,
same district, just many roles.
right. Exactly.
I would like to thank you for joining, and I would also like to thank everybody for helping me go and take a chance in doing these interviews and everything else I've done. I've also like to thank Coach Chris Haynes for helping me with some of the questions, and I would like to thank you again for joining.
Well, I loved it. Thank you for the interview.
You're
Thank you to
welcome.
everybody out there who's watching. And I'm really proud of you, Max. You're working
Thank
hard, and
you.
it is so neat to see the people you're interviewing, and you're doing some great things. So keep it up, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Alrighty.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.